Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Dusting Off Warlord Saga of the Storm, featuring Albrecht. Another, I think, very iconic, very classic Warlord. Um, I think, I have a lot of fond memories of this guy playing him, and I have a lot of not so fond memories playing against this guy. So, I guess yeah, that is something there. So, he came out in the Death's Bargain expansion. And there's some kind of odd interactions that he has, some Scornergy with how he interacts with the other Free Kingdoms characters in that set. So let's just get into some Albrecht here. So Albrecht is only level 3, and he is only level 3 because he has 3 classes. He's a cleric, a fighter, and a rogue. I want to say there's only a handful, like very few, I think it's less than 5 warlords that have that many classes. And most of them are not high level, with the exception of one freaking nonsensical guy, but whatever. So Albrecht is, again, he's a fighter, a cleric, a rogue. He's got 3 strikes at +4, +2, +1. That's kind of on the low end, but that's fine. He's got 11 armor class, which also would be on the low end, but he is also planar. He's astral, planar. So yeah, slightly more survivable than that 11 AC, might make you think. +7 skill, that's par for the course. Actually, maybe slightly low for like a multi-class character like this, but 3 hit points, par for the course. He has magic resistance +4, which is quite nice. One of the ways to get around the planar trait is to throw spells at them, and he can potentially shut one of those down once per turn. So that's pretty awesome. But Albrecht, he has this order. Remove a character in your discard pile from the game until the end of the turn. Give a Free Kingdoms character an extra melee strike per attack at +4 ATK. This may only target a character once per turn. So when I said his design was kind of odd, a lot of the characters in Death's Bargain for the Free Kingdoms, they had effects while they were in play, but they also had effects while they were in your discard pile. So on one hand, having them in your discard pile is giving you some small benefit, and those benefits, they can start to add up really quickly, especially if you get multiple copies of the same thing. But Albrecht has to remove characters in your discard pile from the game to power his order, and so yeah, it's just very odd how those two kind of they kind of conflict with one another. But it is also, I think, this is not going to be original at all. It's, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to talk about Albrecht without mentioning Nothrig daggers. Nothrig daggers is a kind of an interesting weapon. It's classless, which that is very important that this weapon is classless. It is only level 4. It gives you a measly +1 attack, which is not very good, but it's got this text. This character's melee strikes have +3 attack and inflict an additional wound against higher level characters. So most warlords can't really make too terribly good use of this weapon. Albrecht, there's only a couple warlords in the game that he can't get the benefit from this from, and again, it's really good for chopping through other characters, because if you need to do the extra wound, it's probably against something that has multiple hit points, and the odds of you having multiple hit points go up, dramatically as your level increases. So, yeah, basically, oh, where do I even start with this? I kind of think of this deck as my threes deck, if that makes sense, because it's kind of all built around that level 3 that Albrecht has, and that a huge amount of our character base is going to have. So, yeah, so with Albrecht, again, this is completely original here. Second rank, Bokbo and Borgen. Again, it's these guys. I made a remark about the Biting West Wind being like, why would you ever not start them? And it's not as bad in Freaks, but a lot of my Freak decks, like a huge chunk of them, maybe almost all of them, outside of a couple scenarios, it's starting some combination of these guys. They're just very solid. I play my Albrecht as a frontliner. I don't know if I've ever seen a non-frontline Albrecht before, like where you're just using him as, I don't know, like a cleric with his order. That sounds really bad. Maybe it's good. I don't know. But then in rank 1, we are starting 2 Spencer Lathams and a Brother Domini. I think most of the Freak decks that I see, not that I play against other Freak Kingdoms too terribly often, but a lot of people start this. I think this is good. I don't like it very much. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel particularly creative. Yeah, one of the reasons why I am starting these here is Brother Domini tends to draw fire because people don't want Dominis alive. Like, it's not good. And so if I'm going to be starting something that's kind of fire magnet. Dominate, you may as well start him. And the double Spencers give the deck a little bit of aggression. I'm not going too crazy in on that, but yeah, these are also bodies that when, like, I don't care if I have to remove these from my discard pile because they don't do anything when they're in my discard pile. So so that's what we are doing there. We are going to be attempting to move Albrecht forward, and we got a little bit of aggression from the starting characters. Now, as far as the other characters go, again, there is a freaking crap ton. It's not all, actually, it's almost all of the other characters. They're all level 3 characters that are a combination of fighting and movement. So the only one that's not level 3 is another copy of Brother Domini, just because, yeah, the first one's probably going to die. I really should be running 3 of these. I don't really know why I'm not. I just, whatever. So we've got 3 copies of Rolando and 3 copies of Roland Zinn. These are some of the least oh, good lord, Zach. Some of the least fighting characters in this deck. They do both have 2 melee strikes. They have 12 armor class, which is not very good for a 3rd level character. But both of these do something that's very similar. Their names are also really similar. I think I mentioned that in my faction review. So when Rolando enters play, Rolando's a cleric. He is a druid. After he enters play, you target an equal or lower level character, you move Rolando forward or backward 1 rank, and then you, actually no, Rolando can only move forward, but you move the other target forward or backward 1 rank. Now there's a lot happening with this. So 1, this can rush Rolando by himself to the front, and it's a reaction to him entering play. So functionally speaking, he enters play and he just shoves himself up to rank 1. That can be pretty nice. Number 2, because Albrecht is also only level 3, this is also movement for Albrecht, which is pretty awesome. Roland Zinn is very similar. He's both better and worse. He is classless, and the reason I said that the Northrop daggers being classless was important is because you can throw it on these guys, and they get basically the same benefit that Albrecht does. They are much more fragile, but whatever. So Roland Zinn's a mentalist. He's classless. The mentalist part doesn't matter in this deck. After he enters play, move up to 3 of your equal or lower level Free Kingdoms characters forward or backward 1 rank each. So he can't shove himself all the way to rank 1 as, by reacting onto himself. He can use his react onto himself to move himself forward 1, but you can also move 2 other characters. There's a lot of movement with this guy in the end because there's so many level 3 characters in this deck. Yeah, it's not really all that difficult to get a huge amount of, at least in my opinion, huge amount of value out of that. Everything else in this deck is a fighter. And there's actually quite a few paladins in this deck, and those are I run it like that for a reason. So we've got Arvyasar. This is a paladin lycanthrope. He's level 3. He does what the deck you want the deck to be, doing. You can throw Northrop daggers on this guy, and it's fine. He also has this interesting kind of way he works. Once per turn, he can use this order that he has to get either Repost, Defend, or Magic Resistance, and other characters that are not Arvyasar's get all of his feats, but at +0. And so this is a way to kind of, especially if you get multiple copies of these guys out, you can get, Repulse +0, Defend +0, or Magic Resistance +0 for all the characters in your rank. Now, these characters' skills are not particularly high, and so your odds of making these are not very good. If you really wanted to build on that, you'd have to include something like Ada, and I don't really have room for Ada. Maybe I should start 1... I think that's what I was doing before doing the Spencer Domini start, but just very solid. Again, Albrecht getting these, his skill bonus is starting at +7, so his odds of making that is quite a bit better. But we also have 3 copies of Squire Argos and 3 copies of Court and Lie. These are both paladins that buff characters. Squire Argos gives equal and lower level freaks in this rank, +2 attack and +1 armor class. Again, Albrecht's attacks are not very good. This does help shore that up quite a bit, and again, it affects, actually I believe this does affect every single character in the deck. And then Court and Lie is one of those characters out of Death's Bargain. Characters adjacent to him get +2 armor class. And while he's in your discard pile, your freaks get +1 armor class. And so again, these do stack with each other. It's pretty nice. And again, their combat stats are fine. Not especially amazing. Squire Argos has that weird inverted attack where her first swing is lower than her second swing. It always rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why, but so yeah, it's just all these are just freaks buffing or moving other freaks, and it typically just affects lower level stuff. In the case of Argos and the Rolando and Roland Zinns, but because everything in here is level 3, it all works on each other, which is pretty awesome. And then rounding it out, we have 3 copies of Rahu Menachen. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Menanach, whatever this guy's name is. This is a classic guy. I believe he was out in the first set. +6/+1 for his attacks, which I believe are some of the higher ones in the deck. 11 armor class, that sucks. +1 skill, that sucks too. Fighters adjacent to him get +2 attack. That affects Albrecht and it affects everybody but the 2 movement characters that I talked about. And I guess the brother Domini, but just pretty solid. Again, shoring up your attack stat, because the Nothric daggers, if you're not getting that, if you're not swinging at something that is higher level than you, it's only giving you +1, and it's really sad when Albrecht is ready to go, and it's like, it's a whole bunch of level 2s or level 1s, and their AC is not, it's not amazing, but his attacks are not amazing, and it can be really sad. So as far as these steeds and items and toys in this deck, so because we have those 6 characters that do movement, I don't really think you need a very large number of steeds in this deck. So we're just doing 2 copies of Riding Horse and 2 copies of Noble Steed. The Noble Steeds give FreeKs with it repost, which is awesome, and it's repost at +4, meaning if Albrecht has it on, he's got about a 50-50 chance of making it, which is awesome. The Riding Horses, these could be something else, like the Dark Horse or War Horse, or something else that does a little bit more. But these are classless, which, again, it can be important, especially if you're getting, you know, Roland's in, or for whatever reason you didn't get any steeds or anything like that to throw on Albrecht immediately. I find they work fine. They work great. A couple other things for him. Now, we've got a copy of Spring Spear Trap, a copy of Greaves, and a copy of Helm of Kor. I think you can change these out for kind of anything you want with him. He's really, really limited in what you can give him because, again, outside of some freaking nonsense, like I get freaking exhaustion on the way forward, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's really, really rare for Albrecht to not be ready to start swinging very, very early in the game. Like, sometimes, you know, your second or third action is he's ready to go. So playing items that he cannot equip in rank 1, it really doesn't feel like it's all that good of an idea. The Spring Spear Trap is just a way to do damage. Greaves, I think this was mostly in here because I think someone kept stunning me with something. I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was Demon of Kavar, and it was fucking annoying me. So I'm like, I'm just going to play Greaves, and I'll stop one of them once per turn. I don't remember if it worked out all that well or not. Helm of Kor, this I wouldn't drop. Like, I would probably stick with this because the react on this, I did not realize how many games I was playing where this react was gold. Like, a lot. And since Albrecht can use his order on himself, you know, even just a single reading of him, you can get quite a few extra strikes out of that. So I like that. To help kind of augment getting, again, the Helm kind of, but really, you really want the Nothric daggers with him. If he doesn't get it, it's really sad. So we're running 3 copies of Inheritance as well as a way to, you know, fish it out of your deck and grab it. If you already have it, you know, you can, I mean, I guess you can. No, I'm thinking of Loot. Loot lets you get other things, or lets you get things and put it in your hand. So I guess the Inheritance is just for Albrecht, but yeah, getting Nothric daggers is really important. So we're running 3 copies of that. As far as some readying stuff to get some more usage out of Albrecht, we've got 3 copies of Divine Guidance and 3 copies of Alert. Nothing really, you know, particularly amazing here. You do need to roll fairly high for the Alert. Again, I really probably should go back to the Ada start instead. But when it happens, it's pretty awesome. Divine Guidance, you don't have to make a check, you just have to toss a card. The interesting thing about this is a way to put bodies into your discard pile without your opponent having to kill them. I mean, that's not difficult for them to do anyway, because these guys are not especially sturdy. But again, any turn where Albrecht's able to swing more than once is pretty awesome. So I like those. I've had good success with those. Another card that I really, really like this with Albrecht, at least in this version of the deck, is Brutality. So Brutality is an order. You have to have at least 3 other characters in this rank, and you perform a melee strike targeting a spent character within 1 rank. That's okay. It's like, it would be like any kind of generic fighter, you know, striking action. But if this rogue has no subclass and hits with the strike, he inflicts an additional wound, meaning if he has the daggers on, this kills a lot. Like, a lot of things die to that. So Albrecht is also, because he's only level 3, some of the really, really good like fighting actions he can't play unless you make a very odd build of this deck. And again, it seems like if you did that, you'd probably have to play some build that plays like leveled on him, and then the Nothric daggers wouldn't work. I don't think I've ever tried doing that, but rounding it out, the last 3 cards, I did mention that I was running Paladins for a reason, and that reason is we're running 3 copies of Leadership. This is like the poor man's fighter mass blessing because Albrecht can't play. He can't play you know, he can't play 4th level spells unless you change your lineup and everything. So leadership is a way for, you can do several things with this. One, Albrecht can play it himself. The bonus is not especially good. It's only +2, but it is something. And if you have a lot of guys, you can force multiply quite a bit with that. But if you have one of the actual paladins, because it's only level 3, play it, that +4 is a pretty nice buff for these guys. And if you have Arv giving defend out, you can potentially keep the guy using it alive for a little bit longer than you would think, because the leadership bonus does go away if the fighter dies, because you're not in the same rank with them if he's dead. So I do like that. Again, is it amazing? Probably not, but I have gotten some mileage out of it, and it does work, especially if it's something like Court and Lie playing it, and it's like, if they kill him, I still got something out of it because he's in my discard pile now. So that's kind of nice. Very, very kind of odd deck. One of the things that I think is low-key very interesting about Albrecht, and I believe he is being reprinted in the Box of Greed, so hopefully his availability is going to become much higher than it is now. One of the things that I really, this is such an odd aspect to him, but Warlord is kind of odd in the sense that, generally speaking, the higher level you are, the greater your rarity is. I think there's very few, level 4 characters that are not rares. I don't know if there's any level 5 characters that are not rares. But it's, because this is all low level stuff, at least back then, I think, like, the Divine Guidances, I think are the only rare cards in this deck. Actually, I guess the Rahu, I guess these are rares too. This deck was really, really cheap. I think the only thing that was really difficult was the Rolando, because nobody wanted to trade these or sell these. But nothing in here is, I guess the Domini, but outside of that, and I think Domini's getting reprinted too, like, nothing in here was difficult to get. None of it was expensive. So low-key, this was a fun, effective deck that was fairly cheap to build. I don't think it was as cheap as Robert, and I don't know, I still like Robert more, but I did like that about him. And Albrecht's a nice change of pace. Now, again, I've run multiple different versions of this guy over the years, because he's a lot of fun. You can change your character lineup. The Paladin thing, it's mostly more cute than good, I think. I would still probably keep... Actually, I don't know, I'd still probably keep a bunch of them, because the buffs they hand around to each other, but I've had quite a bit of success with Ursula Yasar and Matic Yasar. Matic can get 3 strikes when he's adjacent to a cleric, and Albrecht is a cleric, so Ursula Yasar already has 3 strikes, and she also has repo, so you could potentially get a lot of swings out of her. She doesn't do any buffing for other people, but, she's pretty solid. I think you could also make a very strong case for Darian Winson, especially after his reprint, now that he has the 2nd strike, and he throws that knife. So, that I think he would work fine. Again, so many other things. Jack Casey, I believe for a while I was playing Jack Casey, because he's also a movement. He's another character who, it makes him slower to the front, but being able to shove one of the other guys forward, it was nice. I believe also, what was it about him? There was something else about him in this deck, but I can't remember what it was, where he did something really random that was randomly nice. I can't remember. Again, you can run Ada, you can run Driga. These are other characters. Again, very odd how they interact with Albrecht. And again, I believe these were with, Driga, Death's Bargain. She gives your characters +1 attack when she's near a discard pile, and she gives you +3 attack if you're next to her. Now, being next to her is better, but, people will kill her, so whatever. Selenar Guard, I believe I was playing this for a little bit, and then I just decided, you know what, I think Borgen's better, and so I just did the Steeds with Borgen. Things like the Thrill of Victory, I think this is quite solid with him, because the trigger is not that difficult to get off. Divine Barrier, Backstab. I was also, at one point, a really big fan of Thrust with him, and this was, I think, mostly when I wasn't running all these other characters, because Thrust was another way to put a bunch of bodies in your discard pile if you needed to, and I believe it was mostly those characters from Death's Bargain, just to give me some passive bonuses. So you can run things like Fulfill Destiny for some react speed, free healing. Why do I have this here, Embrace Death? I don't remember if I was doing this with him. I think I was running this with Backstab, because a Backstab with a oh gosh, I'm freaking tripping over my own words here. With a Nothric Daggers, I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I apologize. Production values on dusting off are, yeah. But Embrace Death was a way to One, heal, because Albrecht is going to take damage because he's going to be in the front. But it was a way to stun things, and the save DC is set at 16, so even if it's a crappy cleric playing it, it's still DC 16. And again, discarding cards could put bodies in your discard pile to fuel Albrecht's ability. I do really like that there's so many weird ways that some of these cards synergize with him. Oh gosh, okay, so I don't play these with him now. I did for a while. I was playing both of these. There's these two really weird cards. One of these I think is actually good. The other one not so much. Those two cards are just part of the job in Righteous Faith. So these are both reacts that you play to add to your dice rolls. These can be any dice rolls that you're making. They could be initiative checks. They could be saving throws, attack rolls. The thing about these is you play these after the dice roll, which is pretty interesting. Righteous Faith is adding 3. That's the cleric one. Just part of the job is giving you 2, and that's the fighter one. This was low key. That freaking random tangent time. This was one of the cards that I had so much success with while playing Averus Glynn. We don't really play him anymore, and I don't think he'd be as good anymore because, Nelways, I think is reserved in Ancient, so you can't start him. But the amount of times this card saved my ass when I was playing Averus Glynn. I could use this if I failed the scribe check by 2. I could use this if I failed the marksmanship check by 2. I could use this if I failed the range shot by 2. There were so many times where it's just like, I need a 6. And I rolled a 5. I'm like, aha, just part of the job. And I'd play. It's so goofy, but oh man. So I think you could play these with him. Is it good? Probably not, but it's dusting off. What do you want? He can also, there's quite a few random reacts that you can play with him to kind of cancel things. Higher awareness, mentalist and rogue only. After they target you with an action, they have to make what is basically a DC 15 or suffer a wound, and the action's canceled. This can stop a lot of stuff. The save DC is not terribly high, but maybe I should go back to the Ada start, because I'm only starting to realize how many things that I have run with him that Ada makes way better. So yeah, higher awareness, Spirit's Wrath. This is for planar characters only, and it's after they do something to you that's not punching you. This performs the same thing on them. So if someone freaking stuns your ass with, I think Demon of Kavar was really freaking irritating me. So you can play Spirit's Wrath. You can do a lot of stuff with that. I think that card's great. You have some melee ones like Nice Try and Quick and Deadly, and these are, again, they're low enough level that he can play, and these just cancel reacts during strikes, whether it's someone playing a strike against you or while you're playing a strike. And then, of course, there's just Veiled Passing. You can cancel so much stuff with Veiled Passing. That card is that's an asshole card right there, and I love that card. Final Blessing for some discard pile, recursion hate, and wounding. The +1 hit point thing can be nice too, if you're trying to keep like a Dominee alive for a turn, because you want to get that buff for a little bit longer. Ill-gotten gains, trip. There's a ton of good times with him. And again, I think more than a lot of the other videos I've had, there's a lot of different ways you can play this guy. Like so many just random things that he can do, because he's got 3 classes, which is pretty nice. I also used to play A Hero's Fall. This was really, the leadership should be this, I think. After one of your characters dies, all your characters have an attack and armor class bonus equal to the level of the dead character, while in the rank the character was in. Yeah, that leadership should probably be that, but I like the paladins leading the charge, so that right there is that is Albrecht. Again, very classic, very iconic, very awesome, fun to play Warlord. So that is going to do it. Now, at the time I'm recording this, I have not uploaded a video in almost 2 weeks. Actually, it may have been 2 weeks by the time I upload this. So I have done a couple other recordings with some guests for the show, and those take. Not that I really do a whole lot, but those take a lot longer to edit than this. Like this, I can record this. What are I, 25 minutes I've been recording? I can probably get this edited and everything in a day, like later today. When I'm doing interviews, the recordings are much more difficult because there's a lot that I have to chop off because we're looking stuff up or we're thinking about something the other person has said, and yeah, sometimes we go off on random tangents that, like, yeah, I need to have more control over myself. But so I'm really excited for whenever those come out. I don't know when it's going to be, but got some very awesome guests on. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be uploading one of those next or if it'll be another just solo Zach dusting off. But either way, thanks for checking this out. God bless you, and I'll catch you in the next video.